On today's show,
are the Mavs giving up on Dennis Smith Jr. too soon? And is Harden due for another playoff burnout?
Tonight on NBA TV, will there be brotherly love when the Wolves visit Jimmy Butler in Philly? 3D sets the scene.
And we debate which team has been the bigger surprise, the Kings or the Brooklyn Nets?
It's Tuesday, January 15th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to The Starters, presented by Jack Daniel's Old Number 7 and Tennessee Honey. I'm J.E. Skeets. Alongside me, as always, we got Tass Mellis, we've got the Aussie Lee Ellis, and over yonder, that's the bearded one, that's Trey Kirby.
Hey-yo!
Hey-yo! TK, what's up?
Well, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at hashtag The Starters. And guys, the Clippers lost and he didn't even play. But Boban Marjanovic won the internet last night when he showed up to Staples Center riding a tiny four-wheeler. In all actuality, probably a full-size four-wheeler that Boban is riding and looking like a Mario Kart character, which brings us to today's question. Who is who in the NBA version of Mario Kart? Let's fill this thing out. I think it's pretty fair that Boban can be Bo Bowser, since he's one of the biggest dudes in the game. And I also think Steph can be Curio, since he's not the biggest or strongest, but he's still one of the best. And Lee, you can be one of those bananas you throw on the ground to distract opponents. But we want to hear from you. So let us know on Twitter who's who in an NBA version of Mario Kart. Send us your best tweets to hashtag The Starters. We'll hear from you later.
Okay, get your tweets in. On tonight's show, we're going to debate which team has been the bigger surprise, the Sacramento Kings or the Brooklyn Nets. We're going to talk to 3D live from Philly ahead of tonight's Wolves-Sixers game here on the network. We've got a very solid play. But tonight, let's start with a little true or false. TK's got the questions. We'll debate whether it's true or whether it's false. Let's do it.
Just 97 games into his NBA career, it seems the Mavericks are ready to move on from Dennis Smith Jr., as ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski and Tim McMahon have reported that Dallas is escalating talks to move the second-year guard. He's only 21. He was drafted 9th overall just 18 months ago. So true or false, the Mavs are giving up on Dennis Smith Jr. too soon?
Yeah, from the outside looking in, it seems very true. If they're just going to give up on him, a guy, as you mentioned, Trey, a year and a half into his career, because what do the Mavs get that's better than Dennis Smith Jr. at this point? I guess they want somebody taller who can defend better, who can shoot better around Luka Doncic. But for a guy who has cost certainty for the next 2.5 seasons, are you going to get anything better? I highly doubt it. I mean, if you're trading him for something spectacular, then give up on Dennis Smith Jr., sure.
You just don't think the return's going to be all that great.
I just highly doubt it.
But until we do know what that return is, if these teams are interested, maybe then it is worth the Mavericks moving on, because clearly Luka Doncic is the future.
Yep.
And they obviously feel that Luka and Dennis Smith can't work together. They've only had a small amount of time.
It's like 30 games or something together.
So it's not all that much time. But sometimes you can make a decision in that time where you figure, like, you know what, we just don't think this is going to work long term. So let's cash in on him while we can now, because he is very young and his contract is nothing virtually. So maybe you can get a couple of picks back here, because the Mavs, remember, they lose their first round pick coming into this draft. They gave that to the Hawks in the draft last year. So maybe that's what the Mavs are thinking about right now, that okay, this guy isn't where we want to go in the future, so we're going to look to try to cash in on him now and get something in return. But until we see that, it's just a little bit unknown. And of course, Rick Carlisle was playing that down today, saying, you know, he's injured and stuff like that, because that's what they always say until a trade happens. But it certainly feels like Dennis Smith was the man last year, but Luka's come along and basically made him redundant in some regard.
Yeah, I do think this is going to happen, because I'm not sure you can put that toothpaste back in the tube now, that he is going to be moved before the deadline. And I think it's going to be actually probably a good thing for Dennis Smith Jr. as well. Depends where he lands, of course, but you're right. This got to be tough for a guy. Comes in as a rookie, a one-year guy in college, missed a year in high school. He's only 21. Hey, here, run our franchise here with the Dallas Mavericks. He did an all right job. You know, obviously low efficiency, high volume, but 15 points per game in his rookie year. And then here comes Luka, here comes Wonder Boy, and rightfully so, the Mavs are like, we got to run everything through him. He's got to have the ball in his hands. Like, taking touches away from him is not the way to go. And Dennis, your strong skill is not shooting the ball right now. He's just not a good shooter, honestly. So they have decided very quickly here, maybe, all right, this is not a pair that's going to work for the long future here. This is probably an impatient owner in Mark Cuban. He wants to win now, wants to probably get back to the postseason. So he says, look, our trajectory has changed now with a potential all-star, potential superstar in young Luka. So let's go get some pieces that could help him win right now, and they don't think it's Dennis, unfortunately.
I guess so, but when you bring up one ball and the ball has to run through Luka's hands, it's hard to disagree with that. Yeah. But there's lots of great pairings throughout the league that both have to have the ball in their hands as well. Mm-hmm. I guess this is just about Dennis Smith not working with Luka Doncic. It's not so much the Doncic has to be the guy and the only guy to touch it. Kevin Durant and Steph Curry play together. There's enough ball to go around, but they just don't feel like Dennis Smith may be enough of a spacer, which is possibly fair. Not tall enough, not a good enough defender.
Right.
But
he makes up for that with athleticism and speed. He's definitely one of the quickest guys out there, and we know he's got the hop, so he can sort of cover for that in sometimes. But he needs to work on his shooting. And again, if you're the Mavericks, as a 21-year-old guy, very few guys can come in and are lights-out shooters at that age. They have to just work on it, and they have to accept that role that, like, okay, we want you to play off the ball a little bit, give him a chance to see how he goes in that role. But doesn't appear that that's what the Mavs are thinking.
Doesn't appear to be the case. All right, next one here, Trey.
No Clint, no problem for the Rockets last night as James Harden ordered another 50-piece and got a few extra thrown in, going for 57 points in a win over the Grizzlies. It was his 17th straight game with 30 or more in his third 50 of the season, but as we've seen in the past, things change in the playoffs. True or false? The Rockets' reliance on Harden will hurt them long term.
I mean, possibly true, but honestly, who cares? I mean, you've got to get to the postseason first. And they don't have all these guys. I mean, they are playing. First off, they're starting two guys, the Rockets are, that they picked up off the waiver wire this year, which is
like
pretty
fantasy
incredible
league.
in Austin Rivers and Daniel House last night. Gary Clark getting numbers. They don't have guys. So Harden is asked to do this crazy amount offensively, carry this team. And yeah, he could burn out in the playoffs. We've seen it happen. He's fine in game ones generally, and then as the series goes on, he seems to tire and the shot disappears a little bit. But you got to still get there. You can't really, what's your other option here? Cut his minutes, have him sit games, and risk losing games and maybe not even make the dance?
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, you got to still get there. Maybe it happens again, unfortunately, but I'd rather be in there and find out whether he loses it again in the playoffs than not be in at all. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's wild watching this run and then looking at the standings, see that they're only 2.5 games up on the 9th spot, and that they could fall out especially because of the way that they play. And it's James Harden. He had 57 points last night. The rest of the Rockets had 55, which is bonkers.
It's
and
wild.
He's going to get every opportunity. The way they play, they kind of play like a high school team sometimes with a really good player. Just give him the ball every single time, and we'll just watch. Especially with Capella out. Eric Gordon comes back very soon, and that will help. He should help. Anyways, as long as he's healthy, he's going to get a lot of opportunities himself.
Speaking of health, he missed 10 games last year, but the 3 seasons prior to that, he only missed 4 games. So he's actually pretty resilient.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he gets through the regular season okay, but it's just when you get to the playoffs, whether or not it just catches up with him, all that mileage in his legs. So that is going to be a thing. You talk about, sitting him down. Well, Gordon's coming back. Chris Paul should be back soon. He seems to be...
Couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's not too far away. And when those guys come back, if the Rockets can at least just solidify their place in the playoffs, then maybe you just at least cut his minutes somewhat and hope that you can preserve him for the playoffs. Because all this great season, and he may go on to win the MVP, it's not going to count for all that much if they do flame out in the first round. I mean, you want to sort of see it sort of lead to somewhere else. But history tells us that James Harden does have an issue sometimes of just holding up in the playoffs.
And do you buy it? Do you buy that sometimes he's had these poor performances in the playoffs because he's asked to do so much over the course of a season that, you get into April and May and so on, and you're just tired?
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any left in the tank?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much of the offense is relied upon him. I mean, that's why they got Chris Paul in the first place.
Right.
Look how close they came last year. But the year before that, he just couldn't do it against the San Antonio Spurs. And again, when it's in the playoff series and you've got a lot more time to plan for a guy like the Spurs did, they came back in that series and really worked him over and wore him down. So you can take advantage of that if you're the opponent by saying, all right, let's see if we can just make him use the ball so much that it does wear him down.
It's fun to analyze the Rockets for us. We have to do that. But it's also fun just to watch this run that James Harden is going on. And he lost his number 1 assist partner in Clint Capella. And yes, he may be tired, but for us, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. I mean, it's Iverson-like a little bit. Just like, here, do everything for us and score as much as you possibly can and set up guys and all that. He's on unbelievable. 57, it was like not even really that big a deal anymore with this run he's been on. All right, final one here, Trey.
Kristaps Porzingis tore his ACL nearly a year ago, so you might think he'll be back soon, but not so fast, my friend. Because according to Bleacher Report's Howard Beck, there are rumors that the Knicks will keep Porzingis out the whole season, even if he's ready to play. Furthermore, there are rumors this is causing tension with the unicorn. You never want to cause tension with the unicorn. True or false? Porzingis should play when healthy.
True.
You think it's true?
I think it's true.
If he's 100% healthy,
you can understand it from both sides. The Knicks don't want him to come back because he's good and he increases their wins, and that means there's less chance they get that number 1 pick. But you can also understand Porzingis like, I don't care, I want to play.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's Michael Jordan, but this same thing happened to Michael Jordan in his second season when the Bulls wanted him to sit out when he hurt his ankle, and he was like, I'm playing if I'm healthy.
Right.
I don't care about the rest of it. And you can understand Kristaps Porzingis, he's a star player. He's missed so much time. If he's healthy, he's like, let me play. You know, this is not a Chandler Parsons situation either, where a guy who's come in and, you know, hasn't been the star player on the team. Porzingis is a star. The hunger is there to play. If he's healthy, I think he should play.
Yeah, if you're the Knicks, you weigh the options here. Sit him out and potentially peeve him off.
Yeah.
Or maybe win a game or two. I don't think you're going to win that many games with Kristaps Porzingis back because he's not going to be 100%. It's going to take him some time. You can liken it to Jordan. You can liken it to Zach LaVine coming back. You can liken it to Paul George coming back. Play him some minutes so he's not angry.
Yes.
And maybe win a game or two or three or whatever. Just don't make the unicorn mad.
Yeah, I agree with that. All you're saying, as long as he is 100% clear to go, you can put him in there. You don't have to play him in back-to-backs. Like exactly, Paul George breaks his leg with Team USA, misses the entire basically season with the Pacers there, but they did play him at the end. He played 6 games.
Yeah.
15 minutes here and there just to get going a little bit. And I'm with you. Even when Porzingis was there last year, the Knicks are not that good that a rusty Porzingis is suddenly going to have them, back in the playoffs. That's not going to happen. So
You don't want to peeve him off.
No, don't peeve him off.
No peeve.
You don't say peeve enough anymore,
Master
do we?
peeves.
All right, when we come back, Uncle Splash 3D joins us live from Philly to set up Butler's first game versus the Old Wolves.
Jake Peavy.